Do you really think you know 7-on-7 in the recruiting game? Well, you're about to find out with the behind the scenes look at Coastline Stars.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the nation's #1 podcasting network, Locked On. We are brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. There is one primary objective today, and that's to discuss all the Coastline Stars recruits, the people behind the scenes, and what it's like to go to a major tournament. As I've jumped onto the other side of the rail, I work in the recruiting industry, but I'm also working with Coastline Stars, and it's a blast. I want to give people a view of what it's like talking to recruits, talking to them as players, just normal people, hanging out with the airport, everywhere in between, and also just let you know what it's like to talk to these guys about the recruiting process, because with NIL, the transfer portal, there is a lot to get to. So we'll talk about Battle Miami last. That'll be something that's just fun, why that event is so important. We'll talk about behind the scenes, all the people that make it work, coaches, Miss Katie, everything else. But most importantly, we're going to start off with the players themselves. And for those that know anything about a roster, we've got a lot of big-time players. There is absolutely, unequivocally, no particular order in this, but I am going to make one distinction. I want to go defensive players first, because usually these kind of reports start with offense. Again, no real particular order, but I'm going to go with somebody that has earned a lot of respect. It's Adryan Cole, a kid that plays at Douglas County. He's a safety. And for those of you watching this on YouTube, you know what the photo looks like. That's what a major Division I safety is supposed to look like. He's borderline 200 pounds. I thought he was over 200. Adrian told me today on a message on Instagram that he's actually 195, but his legs look like Bo Jackson's. That's not a normal safety. He is huge, but he's a guy that can run. And most importantly, he's instinctual. That's why programs like Ohio State, Georgia, and pretty much the entire free world of recruiting powers, they're taking a look, trying to get involved. Tennessee or Texas A&M, there's Alabama. There are different programs all going to try to get him. Auburn's trying to get him in on a visit. He doesn't know where he's going to go. I'm not real worried about that. He's got plenty of options. But here's why I think many programs really like Adrian. He just does what he says he's going to do. Keeps to himself. He's an observer. He's not somebody that causes any problems. He's just A to B. College coaches, I can tell you firsthand, want players that are quote unquote low maintenance. Adryan Cole fits that to a T, and there aren't many guys that have his physical traits that come into that perspective. A lot of guys that have the talent that he does, they're a major pain. Adrian is not that guy in the least. So congrats to him on his start to his high school career. He's got one more year left. He's class of 2027. Adryan Cole is a big-time player just outside of Atlanta. Next up, and this is just one of those guys that he kind of figures it out as he goes along. Landon is not your normal dude in terms of real big personality, but he speaks his mind when he needs to. He can be a leader when he needs to. Landon Johnson's a kid that is from a good program in Baton Rouge, and like the Baton Rouge area, by the way, not enough respect for it. He gets a lot of players to do the right things and end up at the major college level. Ohio State just took a safety from that city as well. But there are so many things that I can say about him that I learned, because I really didn't know much about Landon Johnson prior to this weekend that we just went through. Again, Madison Prep, he's in Baton Rouge. He could play nickel. He could play safety. He could probably play corner. I just think there's a lot of upside with him. I need to see him play more to know, but his recruitment's just getting going, and I think he's a guy that will end up playing at a higher level than what many think right now. And Landon Johnson's going to be a steal for somebody, and it probably will end up being Big Ten, ACC, SEC, Big 12. It's going to be one of those. Where he goes, I have no idea. I didn't talk to him a ton about it, but I'm very, very high on him. And again, leadership skills. That's something that's very important. He's a little more talkative than Adrian, but overall, that's a guy that I really like because of what he does on and off the gridiron. Considering all the talent that we have, I didn't know very much about Crummell. This A.K. Crummell, he's a kid out of state of North Carolina. He could really run. He could play receiver if you needed him to, but most likely a corner at the P4 level. He's got several P4 offers. Clayton, North Carolina, I believe that's in the greater Raleigh area. Athletic, has the ability to really shadow, and I like him when he's in tight proximity to a guy, like whether it's in zone or man, like when he breaks on the ball or he makes a move, he's got the feet to do what he needs to do. But at the same time, there's always room for improvement. Want to see him more, but this is another P4 corner. Really good dude. Down to earth. He was very nice to me and the people around. I'm pretty excited about seeing him at the next level. Next up, just a few of the guys that we had there on the left, for those of you watching on YouTube. This is Seth. He's one of the guys that, another Atlanta player. He's at Lakeside. They don't get a ton of attention. He's long. He's 6'3", safety. He had 15 tackles in one game. He's a guy that has a lot of plays that he can make from a different perspective because, yeah, he's a free safety or strong safety, but I wouldn't be surprised if a college team utilized him in different ways near the line of scrimmage, whether it's 3rd and long, 4th and long. I could see him being a blitzer, several different things. He's got length for days. Colleges are looking for that. That's Landon there in the middle. And then behind them is number 6 is Jalen Scott, a kid that's from the Mobile area. He plays at Williamson, Florida State, and a bevy of other schools are in on him. He's getting ready to take a visit there. Great kid. I think he's a guy that's got a lot of upside. He's trying to figure out his niche. I know they'll use him a lot of different ways at Williamson, which is one of the best programs inside the state of Alabama. But I'm not sure where his best long-term spot is, and we just got through one tournament at Battle Miami. Elijah Malone, they're number 21. He's a guy that plays in many different spots. He is at Gulf Shores. I've known him for a couple of years. I'm very familiar with that area. I'm curious to see where he ends up in college, too, in terms of a position. Played linebacker for us, played nickel. He's moved around. He could play safety. There's a lot of room for him to grow, but he needs to find a specific niche to really kind of figure it out. And that's, to be honest, one of the reasons that 7-on-7 is so important. You can't just assume that you're going to have the right answers all the time, because that's, to be honest, when you get burned. You're going to get smoked every now and then in 7-on-7, but having versatility is important, and then finding that niche on top of it. So curious to see where Elijah ends up long-term with his position. Bryce Woods, this is a kid that kind of fits the profile. If you're watching on YouTube and look at the photo, there's a reason I'm using this one. His length is ridiculous. His athleticism, his smarts, great kid on and off the field. He plays at Woodward Academy. It's one of the best programs in the Atlanta area. Ohio State, Tennessee, Mississippi State, and Auburn, and you name it, they've pretty much offered, or they're at least in contact with him. Off the field, I'm probably even more impressed. He was one of our starting corners, has the athleticism to play safety, corner. I wonder if he could play nickel in certain situations. He's pretty long. If a guy his size can play nickel, he's going to make a lot of money. But he will figure it out intellectually. Again, like I said earlier, firsthand knowledge. Many times, college coaches want low maintenance players. Bryce is probably right there where you need to be, because he'll answer questions. He'll talk to you about whatever. But when it's time to go, you don't have to worry about Bryce Woods locking in. He's ready. Not many guys I could really say that about, because it's just not easy to be a corner. Like, again, you're going to get bombed. You got to be able to brush that off and go out and represent the shirt. Like I got Coastline shirt on right now. Sometimes you get bombed. How do you react to that? Like, we didn't finish the Battle Miami tournament. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. He doesn't let things get to him. That's one of the reasons I think Bryce has one of the highest ceilings out of everybody in this group. It's between the ears, because everybody's talented once you get to this level. Who manipulates the system to the best of their ability, who utilizes their skills, what's around them. I think Bryce is going to be one of those guys long term. Continuing on, kind of looking at the defense here. I didn't get to see him do everything that I wanted to, because I'm focusing on so many players. But when I was watching, I think it was day 2, we were playing a game, and BJ Allen, Brandon Allen's technically, we call him BJ. He's a kid at Westlake. He had a really good game right in front of Andrew Ivins and Tom Loy. That's a kid. I don't have him pictured right now, but trust me, he's a kid. Size-wise, he's almost identical to Bryce. They're very, very similar. And to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter what you think about some of these guys in terms of their athleticism. you have to see it live. That's why everybody wants to see kids at camps and all that kind of stuff or come to their school. Those two can run and everything. Now I'm going to focus a little more on Brandon, BJ, and I'm going to focus a little bit more on Bryce this next tournament because playing outside corner is hard. Can they play free safety and feel comfortable? Can they play nickel? What is your versatility with that? Maybe one of them ends up playing there. I have no idea. Tournament to tournament, it can be different because your roster changes. But I think both those kids just like the challenge, and they're both major P4 guys. I have no idea where BJ is going to end up. He got Vanderbilt as an offer here during the tournament, like right before the tournament started. Mississippi State and several other schools have come after him. We'll see where he ends up, but that's a guy that has a world of potential. Continuing on, just kind of looking at it, Jaden Keyon didn't get a play. He was banged up. We also didn't get a chance to see everybody, like Stanley Peters. That's a kid out of seminary. It's a high school about 30 minutes outside of Hattiesburg. We'll see what he can do, but he can play. Really curious about him, but we get Jaden. He's a class of 28 kid. We get him back. That'll help us. Same thing with Stanley. They're both a little banged up. I like both those kids off the field too. They're really good guys. Next, let's talk about a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. I'll just start here with these two. Guy on the left, for those of you on YouTube, that's Jamarin Simmons. He's a kid out of Godby High School in Tallahassee, Florida. He has springs. If we had a dunk competition, I would probably bet on him. First play of the tournament, we were playing low pro. Our quarterback, Teddy Jarrard, just throws it up down the right sidelines, 50-50 ball, gives this guy a chance, threw it where he needed to. But there really wasn't any option for somebody being wide open. He'd never played with Jamarin before. Jamarin goes up, takes it off this kid's head. It was like, whoa. Okay, now I knew his high school film was good, but I know it's different seeing kids live. Again, it's very important. That said something to me. Went out. I think Jamarin had 3 TDs in that first game against Low Pro. They couldn't guard him at all. And the kid next to him really wasn't much different. But when you have 2 guys like that can play slot, it gets really difficult. And Keyon Standifer is the guy. Again, if you're on YouTube, you see the picture. The young man on the right of this photo is Keyon Standifer. We're possibly going to move guys around. We'll see. But like right now, I can tell you that there's no doubt in my mind, Jamarin's a top 10 player in Florida. And one of my buddies, John Santucci, is probably going to rank him there. He works for USA Today. He does a ranking top 100 in the state of Florida every year. He told me he's top 10, no doubt. And I agree. So we'll see where he goes. Florida, Florida State, Auburn, you name it. Jamarin's got tons of offers. Same thing with Keyon. He's slightly shorter. He's probably a pure slot. He's 5'9", 5'10". He was committed to Georgia Tech. He's got a ton of offers, and he's got a bunch of schools looking at him. Most of the SEC schools in the greater Atlanta area where he's from, he actually goes to Athens Academy. They're all looking at him. I expect him by the end of the spring to have a very different list than he does now, even though he's got quite a few offers, because he's a very, very good route runner, and he's got tremendous hands. I think he probably has the best hands on the team, and that's certainly going to go a long way into helping him. Continuing on, the guy that I'm curious to see what he can do long-term would be this young man. Miguel Whitley out of St. Aug in New Orleans. He didn't have a perfect tournament by any means, but he's motivated, and he'll go up and take the ball off your head. He's really good in contested catches situation, but I think he needs to continue to improve just all the little things that everybody on this list needs to. Route running, understanding concepts and all that, but you can't teach the frame. You can't teach the hand strength. And he's a kid that wants it. He's from New Orleans. Those kids generally really love the game of football. Miguel's a really good guy off the field too. Pretty easy to see him ending up wherever he wants. LSU, Ohio State, a bunch of different schools have offered him for a reason. Now it's just seeing how much he can maximize his talents long term. Next up, looking at the list, and this is kind of where it gets fun for me because we've got so many receivers. It's like, where do I go next to try to just pick anybody here because they're all so talented? It's pretty difficult. But I want to go with our backup quarterback because I didn't know anything about him until he came to our retreat. Then I got to know him a little bit more this past weekend. Trey Tagliaferri, kid that plays at a really good program in New Jersey. Look, when you're at any of those schools out there that, St. Peter's, Don Bosco, et cetera, it's important. But like Trey, he's a kid that's grew up in Jersey. He has to go a little bit of a distance to get to his school, but he didn't care about playing at Bergen Catholic to like get to that and take the extra steps, getting up early and all that, because he wanted to win. And watching his arm strength, watching him pick up little things, and he had to learn on the fly, just like Teddy Jarrard, our main quarterback. Trey has assimilated really quick. I was surprised at how strong his arm is, how much better it was even since like the beginning of his junior year. You can see the jump. So I think he's a guy that's going to make some headway. He's got some visits coming up. We'll see where he ends up, but his recruitment is just getting going. He's class of 28. He's the only other class of 28 kid that we have on the roster besides CJ Coley that I haven't talked about. We'll talk about CJ now. This is a running back that's at Hoover High School. And to be honest with you, there aren't very many guys that are going to play at Hoover early and make an impact. CJ's downhill running back, could make some guys miss. Athletic, he's learning the 7-on-7 game, big personality, enjoys being around the guys and giving people a hard time, and vice versa for that matter. But playing at Hoover matters. If you're not familiar with the state of Alabama, that's a program on the south edge of Birmingham, tradition-rich program, but you're playing against guys in practice. Spain Park's one of your main rivals. Like anybody in that area, Mountain Brook or whatever, anybody you're playing, you're going up against somebody on the other side that's P4 every week. So that's helped him. He's got 2 years of high school left. Auburn and a bevy of schools have offered CJ Cowley, but I don't think he really knows where he's going. Auburn's just most likely down because they got on him early, but there's a long way to go. He'll end up being 200, 205 pounds by the time he leaves high school. CJ's got a very prosperous future ahead of him. Continuing on my list, just talk about Teddy Jarrard now. This is the guy that got me involved with Coastline kind of by accident. Elite quarterback. I think he's an NFL player long-term. He's getting ready to sign with Notre Dame. He played at North Cobb High School after playing at North Cobb Christian his first 2 years. Elite. The way he processes, not just on the field, but off the field, the way he handles himself, again, low maintenance, 4.1 GPA, understands what it's like to communicate with different kinds of personalities. Seeing Teddy open up a little bit during our Miami, I don't want to say retreat, but in some ways it was, because you have to get to know each other. That's the first part of it before you compete at Battle Miami. Seeing him open up, because he's a pretty quiet guy, was important. And I think Teddy will assimilate to Notre Dame very well. Again, he's got an NFL future barring injury, in my opinion. Looking at the list overall, Austin Busso, wide receiver / slot guy at a Bergen Catholic. He plays with Trey out there in Jersey. Elite hands, maybe our best route runner, depending. I'd say that's up for debate, but he's certainly right there. That's a kid that's just starting to get some hard looks. I think Busso is going to end up being a P4 guy, going to have several different offers, no doubt. Joshua Dothard, St. Clair County, just outside of Birmingham. He's a guy that I brought into the fold. Speed. Man, he can really run. Like, he is shot out of a cannon. Really good guy, elite academics. Won't give you any problems. Pretty quiet. He talks a little bit, but he just kind of does his thing. I'm surprised that more schools haven't offered yet, but he's not in Birmingham. He's about 35, 40 minutes outside the city. So that's part of it. But I went to one of his high school games and I saw him bomb guys all night. He had 3 touchdowns and he should have had another one. And that was in just over 2 quarters. He has speed to burn. That's a great player and a great kid off the field. Jalen Ash, this is the guy that a lot of people may not know about. He's going to Destrehan, wide receiver, needs to add some weight, but he just makes catches. He makes as many effort plays as anybody we have on Coastline Stars. Nobody plays harder. Respect for that. And he's got pretty good speed, and like, he can get up. He's one of those guys he could probably be a center fielder in baseball or be a track athlete, whatever. Jalen's a really good athlete. His recruitment's just getting rolling. You're going to hear more about Jalen Ash. Eric Tay Walden Jr., this is speed to burn, Colleyville High School, just outside of Memphis. Could be a corner, could be a safety, could be a receiver. He's even talked to me about playing both ways. Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, numerous other programs. Elite prospect in terms of athleticism. He just has to get the fine tuning down, just like so many other guys. Technique, and is it going to be offense? Is it going to be defense? We'll see soon enough with that. Jaden Kelly Murray, another slot. Like, he's put together. We are just so blessed at wide receiver. This kid just transferred to Oceanside Collegiate Academy. He was at Summerville, just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. Great kid. He's got a bunch of offers. South Carolina, Clemson, as you would expect, are after him. a lot of the schools in that area, the South Carolina, North Carolina area, but he's open-minded. I'm not too sure where he's going to go from talking. I'm not sure he knows. I mean, it could be NC State or Clemson or something, but would it shock me if Jaden ended up at a school in Texas or Ohio or something like that? No. He's somebody that's going to go through the spring, figure it out, take his visits, and it'll go wherever it does. To that end, I don't think I missed anybody. If I did, I'm sure one of the guys will let me know. But that's our list, and we are blessed to have a lot of talent, but these rosters do change. And I want to talk about that next right here on the Portal Podcast. I'm going to do one real quick commercial break. When we come back, what it's like to be a part of a 7-on-7 team, how a weekend works, what it's like, and all the people that make it work. And then we'll get into Battle Miami as well. That is next, right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. College football playoff is over, but it's been a really cool college football season. All the games that had the moments that just keep you excited, the memories you have forever, the bands, all the big plays. It's a lot of fun being around it, but getting tickets to college football games is not easy. The queues on these apps and the logins and everything, the prices aren't always the same. It's a pain. And that's why Game Time helps you, the fan, get the advantage back. All you got to do is type in whatever game or event you're looking for, be soccer, baseball, basketball, NFL playoffs, whatever it is, you can get it done 5 minutes in and out. I've done it twice, bought tickets for basketball 2 times in the last month or so. It's awesome with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right. Thank you very much once again for checking out the Portal Podcast. Really appreciate it. If you want to take your game to the next level, check out the Everydayer Club, $5 a month or $50 for a year. Your audio will have no ads. And if you want, you can also check out the link in the description below. There's a link to the Discord, all the different things going on with the Locked On Podcast Network, this one and everything else. We've got a national board. It's a lot of fun. Check out the Portal Podcast and get your ads for free, and check out the Discord. A lot of different fans from across college football. So what is it like being behind the scenes at a big tournament like Battle Miami? What's it like for the first time, meaning me, to work with the 7-on-7 team? Well, I can tell you firsthand, even though I've been around recruiting most of my adult life, it's a lot different than you might think. Getting kids in and out of the airport, like getting kids up at 5, 3, 4 in the morning, whatever it is. Kids going to New Orleans, kids going to Atlanta, kids flying. One kid drove all the way from North Carolina. Like he drove all the way down with his family. There's so many logistical nightmares. Flights, flight gets canceled. Every time we seem to fly, I've flown 2 times with some of the players out of Atlanta, there's something going on. You can ask Teddy, you can ask Seth, you can ask any of them. It's like, really? Another delay? It happens. So there's a lot of work that goes into this. You don't just show up at the tournament. All the people behind the scenes, Miss Katie in particular, helping CJ Bailey, who runs the operation, all the other people, Courtney, Corey, Coach Kidd, it's endless. Coach Shea, everybody coordinates to make this work. These kids, I don't care if it's a great team, one that's got as much talent as we do at Coastline Stars, or one of the teams that just flat out got smashed. You still got to get the kids there, got to get housing, got to feed them, got to keep them in line. That's not easy. I don't care what group it is. Teenagers together, you got to know what you're doing. And above all else, you got to have coordination. It's not an easy thing to do. So shout out to all my friends with Coastline Stars for bringing me in and being a part of it. But it is a learning process. Every time you try to get better, and I think I will, but this was not the easiest first thing to learn because there's kids coming at you all the time, questions about recruiting. When do we eat? Where are we doing this? What are we taking to the field? Who's driving? It's just nonstop. Like if you have like 2 or 3 kids, that's one thing. We had almost 20 players at this tournament. While they're not your kids, they might as well be for a couple of days. It's a lot. And Battle does a great job. We actually went to the Battle House. We're one of the few select teams that gets to go to that. They rent out this house. We do TikToks and all these videos promoting Battle gear. It was a blast. Circa, the guy that runs it, he's a great guy. They've always got good people. All the people that they hired were great. They were very friendly, fed us. Shout out to Circa, all the people that are associated with Battle, not just for the tournament, but for having us over, fed us. That was great. So it's an experience for the kids. A lot of these guys haven't traveled that much, and they certainly haven't been in mansions that are overlooking yachts, literally. And that's what we were down in the greater Miami area. It was pretty dope. And then once you get to the field, it's 50 plus teams, all with P4 guys pretty much trying to get to one objective. We didn't reach ours, but I can just tell you all the little things, getting registered, all that. It's a process. If you're a parent, if you're a fan, if you're just somebody that just kind of wants to check in on a recruit that's with us or somebody else, no, it is not easy getting all this stuff lined out. So as for Battle Miami itself and why it's so important, it's pretty straightforward. Here's the deal. This is our Super Bowl in a lot of ways, and it's expanding. There's sevens and there's OT7, there's different ones. But to me, Battle Miami is the most important for the recruiting industry for the following reason. I don't know why this is, but Tucson Turf, Low Pro, Trillium Boys, and different teams that have come from the West Coast, for whatever reason, they come to Battle Miami. Getting everybody, regionally speaking, in one spot is rare. That's why it's my favorite 7-on tournament, and I've been blessed to cover events from Miami to LA, literally. Elite 11 finals in Los Angeles, going to Elite 11 in Indy, like my home city, covering Elite 11 all over the country, going to tournament DR7 in Dallas and Houston, Battle, Pylon, OT7 in Florida, Georgia 7s and stuff like that I'll do this year. Private workouts in the middle of nowhere in like the Panhandle. Like I've seen everything. Battle Miami is the only one that has everybody in one spot. I've driven 5 hours before to see a kid practice. I know what it's like to grind. This is the easiest event. And again, shout out to the Miami folks for getting their kids to come out. There's a bunch of smaller teams. We wouldn't see all those kids as media members. That's awesome. But then getting to see them play against a kid from Omaha or, Salt Lake City or Seattle or San Francisco or Austin, Texas, that's not easy. So shout out to Battle for all that they did. That was pretty awesome. And this was a reminder again this year as I just kind of stood on the sidelines before we played day 1 or day 2, watching kids go by. And like, I recognize the shirts, like where they're from and stuff like that. DEF CON Texas, Low Pro, whatever it may be. And it's just a reminder of how much work goes into it logistically year round to put these tournaments on. They got to get waivers. They got to rent out places. It's a lot, but it's great for the recruiting industry. Guys that I know, like Chad Simmons from On3, Tom Loy, and Andrew Ivins from 24/7. I was on the phone with John Garcia Jr. He was asking me about players. He's in the NIL space now, talking to other scouts about what's going on with Florida State, what's going on with Ole Miss, with LSU, different programs, kids going here and there, all the rumors. I get more information at this event than any other event I get that's 7-on-7 because of the variety of teams, and it's awesome. With that, thank you very much for checking out the pod. Please like and subscribe to the Portal Podcast. I'll have more updates throughout the year about Coastline individual players, might be storylines, might be a recruitment, might be a breaking commitment, could be all kinds of stuff. Make sure you like and subscribe. This has been the Portal Podcast.